Hi, welcome to a God Vlog. Jesus was a storyteller whose repertoire included a very effective use of parables, stories about the ordinary which draw extraordinary illustrations that are meant to evoke contemplation and actually transformation. Through parables, Jesus paints visual pictures of how God connects with us in the ordinary, how heaven's way could play out in earthly situations. The parable of the Good Samaritan, which is in Luke chapter 10 at verses 25 to 37, is a great example of Jesus' parables. But we need to have some background information to get the full meaning that Jesus imparts. Most of us know that story, but Jesus' original audience would have identified with the Jewish victim, not the Good Samaritan like we tend to do. Samaritans were hated and they were loathed in the first century in Palestine. And also the priest and the Levi would have been snickered at as bureaucrats of Rome's temple elite government. And I'm assuming most of you know the story of the Good Samaritan, and I've taken the basic outline of the story and I've changed just the characters just a little bit, but the wording is the same. I did this to get the impact of how this original context that I'm talking about, that Jesus told it in, alters the story when we consider it in an updated way. About a FEMA official, a politician, someone we loathe, and an American who's in trouble. So here's the story with just a little bit of a modern twist, trying to capture what Jesus talked about. And I'm doing this before I get to it. I'm doing it because we tend to hear the parable as a story about being a good neighbor, which is a great, fine way to hear it. That's kind of surface, though. We need to hear the story in the radical way that Jesus meant it, that he's trying to get us to transform our lives, to take the ordinary and turn it into the extraordinary. And the story's good enough if you want to hear it as a good neighbor story, but it also has this kind of edge to it when you hear it in a way that Jesus probably meant it to be heard, which is more evocative. So here's kind of a different version of the story. There was an American who was trapped in a hurricane surge and nearly drowned, and he lay half dead on the street. And a FEMA official happened by, and when he saw the man, he passed by him on the other side. And so too, a politician surveying the damage saw the man and passed by on the other side. But a member of the Taliban hiding in the area happened by, and when he saw the man, he was moved with pity, and he went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured medicine on them. And then he put him in the back of his van, brought him to a hotel room, and took care of him. And the next day he left, paying for the room and asking the hotel manager to take care of the man out of his own debit card. Well, now that's a different story. That's a far cry from the sweet neighbor doing a good deed example that we usually take away from the story. After the FEMA official and the politician walk by, the ordinary progression we'd expect in the story is for a known rescuer type to appear, a familiar hero, maybe Bruce Willis type or Tom Cruise passing by. But something extraordinary happens instead. A Taliban member. I mean, that's a Good Samaritan. A Taliban member is the Good Samaritan in the story. That's how far out there it is. A hated and loathed person shows up. And our hope for rescue in the injured person's shoes is replaced by anxiousness and confusion. As we listen, the story is not going as expected. We have no clue as to the outcome. Indeed, we fear that this Taliban fellow will stop as we lay there helpless. He's dangerous. We don't want him near us. And when he does stop, we worry about our health. And then when he moves in to help us, we worry even more. Is he looking for our wallet? What's in those bottles he's carrying? Will he run over us? Is he going to booby trap or kill or maim us? And then when he helps and gives us hospitality and pays for it, we worry about our own reputation and what law enforcement officials and Homeland and Security will think about it. It's a topsy-turvy tale. And this story understood in this radical parabolic way, makes us think way outside the box. It's a mind bending experience. We don't actually like it. So many questions are evoked. What does Jesus mean by having the hated rescue us? Where are the boundaries of compassion? Why do we feel guilty for thinking ill of a Taliban member or Taliban in general? How is this the empire of God? How would we feel if we could not stop someone loathsome and hated from helping? Would we rather be dead than have his help? Would we help a Taliban member laying on the street? Would we take the risk? Would we pay for his care? And in light of the story, how would we stack up against a hated person in the story? Could someone the culture considers loathsome really be more humane than us? Are the loathsome supposed to be loved and allowed to love us? You see, Jesus' story in this light offers a whole new worldview. It's a parable drawn from common life that arrests us by its strangeness, moves our mind to sufficient doubt about its application, and leaves us wrestling about what it illustrates. Can God actually be experienced through the acts of compassion by someone that we loathe and hate, and vice versa? Can the opposite be true? That's sure not our earthly experience or expectation, this radical view of the loathsome hating us. But wait a second. Jesus left us and still gives to us peace that's not of this world. Jesus calls us to be good neighbors, radically good neighbors. And we'd be so radical, we love even those we're supposed to hate. Like it or not, that sure sounds like the gospel to me. And hey, listen, this vlog was inspired by this great book by Stephen Patterson called The God of Jesus. It's a phenomenal read and resource. Check it out. My name is Reverend Scott Elliott. I'm the pastor at Riviera United Church of Christ in Palm Bay. Thank you for joining me, and go in peace, knowing that you're loved and that you